Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast here at MODEX 2020 in Atlanta. And we are at the New Warehouse Podcast booth, and I'm being joined by Fergal Glynn. Fergal has joined us on the show previously. You guys may remember he's been poking fun at the fact that he was in his car driving in the rain the last time we talked. And actually, really happy to hear that a lot of people that have come to interview at Six Rivers Systems actually mentioned that they heard him on the podcast. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, you're doing great work. Thank you for investing your time and your energy in this. And It's been just a lot of fun as well to hear from candidates coming into my team and across the company how they're getting access to your work and learning about the industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's great for me to hear too. That was really nice of you to say. And definitely, actually, today, believe it or not, is our 1 year anniversary since the first episode. Yeah. So it's cool to have you on. So tell us a little bit about Six River and what it is you guys do.
Yeah, so we're Six River Systems. We're part of the global commerce company Shopify.
Right.
And we build a wall-to-wall fulfillment solution.
Okay. So now since the last time we talked, you just dropped the Shopify. That's new for you guys. So tell us a little bit about that and how you got involved with Shopify.
Yeah, so this is very exciting for us now to be part of a big public company, and their mission is to democratize commerce,
right.
And that aligned really nicely with how we were thinking about fulfillment, where we wanted to make fulfillment technology solutions available to everybody, available to both the largest companies in the world, but
right.
also to small and medium-sized family-run 3PLs. And so their philosophy about making technology available to entrepreneurs aligns really, really nicely
right.
with our philosophy about being able to make fulfillment solutions available to everybody.
So how is kind of the, I guess, partnership or it was an acquisition, I guess, right? So with Shopify, how has that kind of helped you guys, I guess, from a development side and kind of progressing your technology as well?
So it's they're very excited to continue investing in us. We're operating as an independent brand.
Okay.
So we have our own management team, and we're still growing as fast as we were, and they want us to keep growing. And they're letting us, they know we're the experts in the warehouse space,
right.
And they want us to keep focused on that and to keep providing value to our customers and also developing new technologies to help solve additional problems in the warehouse.
All right. So congratulations first, I guess, on the acquisitions. That's a big
Thanks,
deal.
Kevin.
And I'm sure when that happened, you guys all got very excited because I'm sure you end up having more resources to do some more great work that you guys already were starting on, right? So so now your main product, right, is Chuck, which we talked about previously on the show. So tell us, I guess, quickly brief summary of what Chuck is, and then talk about the new Chuck that's now here at MODEX, right?
Yeah, so our company is Six River Systems, and yes, our first product was Chuck to help
right.
with picking in the warehouse, but our goal in life was always to go and solve that fulfillment problem in
right.
the warehouse. So if you think about a warehouse, there's three problems: getting stuff in, storing stuff, and getting stuff out.
Right.
And so Chuck was great. It helps us with picking of eaches, like smaller items that you would associate with e-commerce that you think about are needed in maintenance repair operations. And so we knew we could build a autonomous mobile robot, and we knew that there was a specific problem around helping associates in the warehouse to pick faster and to pick more accurately and to reduce the walking. So that was the very first problem we went and solved with Chuck. So now we've built this AMR that's able to navigate independently, that's very smart, that can see and avoid obstacles. And so we started to build more software capabilities to allow Chuck to do more in the warehouse. So capabilities like replenishment.
Okay.
So now with that same AMR, you're able to use it to put your cases or your reaches back onto the shelf.
Okay. So kind of the opposite way. So we kind of tackled the idea of the picking, right? So now we're gonna tackle the idea of putting the product where it needs to be to get picked.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So now what's the difference between the two solutions?
Well, so it's still the same physical AMR,
Right.
but it's the power of software.
Got it.
So our software, it's running in the cloud. We about 70% of our company have technology jobs, so we've got a lot of software engineers writing these new capabilities.
Okay.
So I mentioned the replenishment capability. We're very well known for the picking capability. Last year, around the time we talked, we added the sortation capability.
Okay.
And also last year we released a pack out capability. And so our pack out capability, like that's us now getting into that area of when products are leaving the building and integrating with shipping solutions.
Interesting. So now you're kind of covering almost the whole spread then.
So we kind of call it, our goal is to be the wall-to-wall solution, wall-to-wall fulfillment solution in the warehouse. So if you're an operator, whether you're on the supply chain team at a big company, or maybe you're an entrepreneur who has a building or is thinking about buying a building because you're spotting this opportunity that with e-commerce growing, hey, I want to get into that business of being able to do fulfillment for customers. And so our goal is to provide everything that somebody's going to need to do fulfillment. Now, it's going to take time, and we're still very, very young, but we're investing heavily in providing additional solutions to solve more of those problems around getting stuff in, storing it, and getting it out.
Interesting. So I like that idea, though, because it kind of, like you were saying before, it aligns with the whole Shopify idea and what their mission is, right? And so you're looking at the entrepreneur that's looking to get into that e-commerce and then helping them do that, and then kind of also tackling, I guess, the idea of trying to get the labor to do the work there and kind of learning it. But if they're starting off with you guys and just going through the automation and robotics, then it kind of makes the startup of that, especially for an entrepreneur that maybe doesn't have like a distribution or logistics background, it makes it easier for them.
Yeah, it certainly does. So when we, with every product we make, we've got design fundamentals that go into that. And the first fundamental we have is empowering the associate and the operator. So with every decision that we're making around how does a physical product like a robot look, or when we're writing code for a new picking capability, is how does this help the associate who's going to be working with the robot, but then also for the floor manager and the person responsible for the building, how are we helping make life easier or better for them? So we think about empowering the associate and the operator. Then we've always had like flexibility, then productivity. So with everything we make, we want it to be portable. We want it to be easy to deploy. We want it to be fast to deploy. We've got customers who are using the same robot to pick for multiple different customers at the same time.
At the same time,
And so like if you're that customer, like that's tremendous value that you're getting.
Interesting. So you mentioned there the word flexibility, and I say that flexibility is probably something I'm hearing at MODEX this year over and over. And I think that, as our technologies in the industry are growing and as we're advancing in automation and robotics and even on a system standpoint, flexibility is key. So how are you guys going about, obviously you mentioned it, so you guys are definitely remaining flexible, but how are you going about making sure that you, as other technologies grow as well, and you may come into environments where, there's more than one robotic solution for different types of things, how do you make sure that you guys are remaining flexible so that you can still fit in easily into those environments?
I think that's a very interesting observation around in the warehouse. There's going to be many, many different types of technologies. And so one of the things that we have been investing in recently is those integrations with other vendors like ourselves, be it companies like Pack Size who build right-size boxes. So Six River Systems and Pack Size, we have a shared customer in Legend Valve. And Legend Valve, they do distribution of plumbing supplies and those small items that go into big construction projects. And so there's a very interesting use case at Legend Valve where Pack Size and Six River Systems, we're all talking to the warehouse management system. So Six River Systems, we will build out the cart. So we will decide what to pick, when to pick it, and what to allocate to a chuck.
Right.
So then that information is passed to pack size, and they will build the exact right size box
Yeah.
for the associate to pick to. But that
Interesting.
box then is put on the chuck.
Yeah.
The chuck will autonomously travel across the warehouse into the active picking area with those corrugated boxes on it.
Okay.
An associate will go badge into the chuck, and then they will pick the parts and be shown with put to light where to put those parts.
Really?
And also what we've done for this customer is we've attached mobile printers onto chuck. So at the moment of the pick, those shipping labels are being printed as well.
Oh wow! So they're picking and processing the shipment at the same time, basically.
Yeah. So you're able to remove that additional touch at a pack out if you weren't doing this.
Right. So essentially, they're instead of picking into like a tote, and then the tote is then being packed out later. You're picking right into what it's going to ship in, and then when they finish their pick for, I guess, that box, it's going to give them the shipping label, and they're going to put it right on, and then it's good to go. So you're almost you're eliminating a ton of touches there.
You're eliminating that touch at pack out. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's really really clever stuff, and I mean it shows kind of the flexibility and the versatility that you need to have, I think, now in this industry, especially with all these technologies, and the fact that you guys can integrate with pack size like that. I mean, that's a really great example of the importance of flexibility in an industry.
And we see ourselves as well doing more and more of that, where there's more problems that we'll be able to solve with partners than just trying to do everything on our own. And so it's always like being very close to our customer, understanding their use cases, and then either building or finding the right partners to go and solve those problems.
Definitely. So you talk about the partners. So talk a little bit about, we were just talking about Vecna. You guys are like neighbors, right, in Massachusetts. So talk a little bit about, in robotics, this kind of collaborative atmosphere that's kind of built up, I think, especially in the Massachusetts area.
So we're a Boston company.
Right.
Boston, I think, is a hub for particularly people building robotic solutions for the warehouse. So Vecna, also right beside us here at MODEX is Boston Dynamics. We have the saying in Ireland, like, you can't swing a cat in Boston without hitting a robot company. So it's a great place to be, like, really good talent pool.
Yeah.
And I think if you go back as well just to the history of Boston, when you think about Digital Equipment Corporation, you think about Wang, that we've always had companies where it's a mix of hardware and software.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, I think that idea of the collaboration and, instead of this being this super competitive atmosphere, I think is really helping to push the industry forward in robotics, but distribution like as a whole as well. And I think the partnerships are really key, and that's really what's going to help people not only maybe be more aware of what's happening in the robotics space and automation space, but also help them better to embrace it and be more easily adoptable for them. Like we talked about, the flexibility, being able to have all these different companies and technologies working together to fit those individual solutions.
Like there's going to be, there's infinite problems that you can solve, or infinite permutations. And no matter who the Boston company is, when a Boston Robotics company is selected, like, we want them to be super successful. Because that's going to help raise the tide for everybody that's in the space. And as you walk around year over year at MODEX and ProMat, they're becoming robot shows. Yeah. Where when I started, it wasn't too long ago when I started going to the MHI events, but when I started, it was a lot more products with steel and motors that were bolted into the ground. Yeah. And now here today, it seems like there's, give or take, 30% that are robot companies.
Yeah, I mean, I think almost every aisle you walk, there's at least one robot somewhere in there, whether it's that's what they're offering or they're offering a solution that goes with the robot. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, so it's really interesting to see the change. And even, I think, working from the distribution background and distribution space, I mean, just in the past couple of years, just seeing the explosion of overall technology is pretty amazing. And now kind of the embracing of that technology definitely is a lot different. So one thing I've been asking some people as they come by the booth and talk is, what are you seeing from the customers now, or potential customers and MODEX attendees? What kind of difference are you seeing in the questions or the approach that they're taking towards the booth and asking about the robotics products?
We're seeing more and more people come by who are asking, hey, how quickly can I get this?
Right.
How quickly can I get this? In how many buildings can I get it all at once? And hey, can you come in? Because we always start our work with a discovery.
Right.
And so they want our team to get their CAD, to get the SKU mix, to get that product profile, to understand, like, is there value in what our solution provides? And so people are asking for us to do more of it and to do it faster.
Right.
And whereas if I go back 2 years, there was a lot more, I've got a project that might happen or might get funded in 6 months.
Yeah.
But now people are coming today with, hey, we need to get going.
Yeah. And I think it's safe to say, like, at this point that, robotics are no longer that, people were scared of robotics at one time, and now I think it's like, it's not really a scary word anymore, and it's something that's totally feasible to people, and it's becoming more accessible.
It's accessible, and a lot of that comes down to, like, kind of the value. So with a collaborative robotic system, you can get access now to automation for 6 figures.
Right.
Whereas if you were going kind of the traditional route with steel and motors, like, that could be in the high 6 figures to 7 figures with a 5-year plus payback. But now, because the cost of sensors has dropped a lot, the cost of processing power has dropped a lot. There's great open source software out there. There's there's off-the-shelf software. So now, like, it's very easy to go make a robot.
Yeah.
But where I feel we have, like, this differentiator and the expertise is that, like, we first pick the problem that we want to solve and focus very heavily on that, and stay true to that mission.
Right. Interesting stuff. Yeah. And I think that when I saw the news about, I guess, Six River and Shopify, I had already been thinking in my head. I'm like, this robot thing is really. This is here to stay. Obviously, I get a little more exposure because I talk to a lot of you guys about robotics and stuff on the show. But when I saw that announcement, I was like, all right, like, it's here, and, like, in a couple of years, like, almost everybody's going to be, like, wanting to move these robotics, like, into their operations, and I think it makes total sense when you look at kind of the atmosphere that's out there and how the business and distribution just continues to grow, and the demand continues to grow too on distribution companies to be able to supply the end consumer, like that. And at some point it's going to be, all same day and all that stuff. And, it's the only way, I think, to really get to that and accomplish those service levels, especially with, we talk about labor shortage and everything, and getting people to want to do these jobs, and jobs that necessarily people don't really want to do.
Well, so one thing that we could kind of lean into here, Kevin, is around the same day. So, like, yes, we're getting accustomed to that. Yeah. But I think we're going to get to a point as well where not everything needs to be same day.
Right.
So it'll all depend, on the economics. And so I don't think everything's going to need to be same day. Like, we're seeing that particularly with the 3PL customers that we're working with, where I think we'll end up is around the predictability of when it's going to get picked, and when it's going to get shipped, and when it's going to get delivered, rather than trying to squeeze it into the next day and then the same day and the 1 hour. That I think we're going to find that we get to this balance depending on the product that you're ordering. Right. Like, I think about, do I really need that new brown belt tomorrow? Yeah. All right, maybe could it wait until Friday night just before I go out for dinner with my wife?
Yeah, I don't really need it until next week, right? I still have a belt, still holding my pants on, but but by Friday my pants are going to fall off, so I need it by then. So, really interesting stuff. So, what do you think, just I guess from your experience in your industry and just looking around MODEX this year, what do you think is, like, the next big thing for the industry?
So next big thing is going to be, like, more solutions oriented companies. So you walk around and obviously there is a lot of robots and
Right.
a lot of robots solving like a lot of different like niche use cases.
Right.
I think you're going to see like what we're doing with pack size, what we're doing with some ARM companies is like, companies working on solving shared customer pain
Right.
points. So I think you're going to see more integrations. I think you're going to see like more companies like ours being able to solve more of those problems in the warehouse. And so, like as I said, like we have this vision where
Right.
like, we want to help solve the problems getting stuff into the warehouse, storing it, and getting it out.
Definitely, definitely. All right, so Fergal, how can we find out more about Six River Systems?
Visit sixriver.com, and if you're interested, like we're hiring across the entire company in engineering, in sales and marketing, solutions design. I think you're doing a great job with the
Thank
show,
you.
Kevin, and looking forward to continue to work with you.
All right, thank you. And we'll post more information about Six River Systems on the newwarehouse.com as well. So, Fergal, thank you so much for stopping by the booth. And I will get the top score tomorrow on the picking competition in your booth.
Okay, I'm going to place a bet on that. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.